All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. Look what's back in the garage, my 2013 Tesla Model S 85. The last week or so, it's been at the Tesla Service Center getting the drive unit replaced. Now, in my previous video, I had taken this to a shop to get an estimate on fixing the bushings. It was $2,000 to do that. I decided not to do that. I decided instead to get the entire drive unit replaced. Even though the drive unit was still working, there was a clunking sound in the rear. What Tesla diagnosed it as is the bushings have been blown out, completely degraded, and so the motor mount was not very stable, and every time I'd accelerate or decelerate, it would be a clunking, kind of a loud clunking noise in the car. And so what I decided to do was to have the Tesla Service Center do a replacement on the drive unit. Now, the drive unit is in the rear of the car. This is a rear-wheel drive car, so this only has one motor in the back, so just the back wheels are propelled. And the drive unit is the whole motor assembly that drives the rear wheels. So by replacing the drive unit, it's like the equivalent of replacing the full motor, transmission, drive shaft, and rear differential on a regular car. So that'd be a huge cost. So drivetrain wise, this thing is really solid as far as that's concerned going forward. The part number they used was one that has the letter U at the end. It's the updated motor that doesn't have it's like the coolant delete type motor. So that way it's going to not leak coolant into the inverter and fry out the inverter, which is kind of a cause of a lot of drive unit failures up until this point. They now have a revision part number that's going to help eliminate that. So hopefully this is going to last quite a while. It does come with a 50,000 mile warranty, 4 years, so it does kind of have an updated warranty on the drive unit. So really nothing to worry about for the next 4 years, 50,000 miles. Besides the battery, I do have the battery to worry about. If that's something that goes out, I would obviously need to replace that. But really with these electric cars, these Teslas, the drive unit and the battery, those are the two big ticket items that you have to worry about. This car has 157,000 miles on it. So it will be interesting to see how much more life I have out of the battery. Keep this battery going for the next 4 or 5 years. That would actually be a pretty good win for this car. All right, guys, I want to go for a kind of a ride, give you an update on what I paid for this, because this is a huge cost with these cars. Luckily, this car only has the rear one. I don't have to worry about the front drive unit. Front drive units didn't come out till late 2015 Model S when they come out with the dual motor. So luckily, I don't have to worry about the front one. But when I went into the Tesla Service Center initially, when I scheduled my appointment, they said they gave me an estimate. You got to review the estimate and approve it. It was going to be $6,300. That was going to be the cost of the drive unit plus the labor to install it. And then there's some, a few dollars worth of bolts and clips and things that they have to replace when they're doing that. I thought that was reasonable for what I'm getting. I'm getting a brand new drive unit in the car, and for them to do, I think the labor was only going to be $500 or $600, which I thought was pretty reasonable, considering how much they have to do to drop the whole rear subframe, get that motor out. So I go into the Tesla Service Center, drop it off. I'm expecting $6,300. A couple days later, I get a message on the Tesla app. I get a call from one of the guys, the Tesla service reps. He's like, hey, we're taking apart the drive unit, and the high voltage cables that go from the battery pack into the drive unit are fraying and coming apart as they're pulling them out of the drive unit. He's like, there's nothing we can do. They're corroded, they're falling apart. We have to replace the high voltage cables that go from the battery pack to the drive unit. And that's going to increase the cost. Is it by any chance the technician's fault, how they removed it, or did they strip it out or something? No, it's just there's corrosion, they're old, they need to be replaced. So that needed to be replaced, the high voltage cables, and then in order to unhook the high voltage cables from the battery, they have to take the whole back seat out. They've got to get into the high voltage junction box, a whole process, right, to replace these cables. So it ended up adding about $1,600 more to the cost. So I ended up paying about $7,900 for the high voltage cables, for those to be replaced, the rear drive unit, and then everything to be kind of put back together. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting is when they were putting everything back together, somehow they damaged the door handle. The door handle had popped out, and it hit the lift when it was coming up or down or something, and it broke the door handle. So they were good about, they replaced my entire rear driver's side door handle assembly. They replaced the the window regulator as well, as a precaution in case the door handle smacked the window regulator. And there was they had to touch up the paint a little bit, and they said that, you know, if I wanted to, I could take it to their collision center. They'd pay for a repaint on that, right around where the door handle is on the door. If not, I think they gave me about $260 off, so that equaled to $7,900 is kind of what I paid after taxes and everything. So it was more than I was expecting. There's no way we could have foreseen that the high voltage cables needed replacing. So that was kind of an unexpected cost, but I've got it back. I'm driving it now, and you know, the motor is absolutely silent. The regen braking is a lot stronger on it now, and it accelerates, you know, accelerates really good. It was a successful replacement. I've got it back, and the only other thing I've got to start working on, and I ordered those parts as well, is the front suspension. There's clunking in the front suspension, and when it was on the lift, the guys at the service center said, yeah, the front lower, they're not control arms, they call them like end links. There's like two bars that come off the frame that support the knuckle on the bottom. This is basically the lower control arm. Lower control arms bushings are kind of shot, so those need to be replaced. So I'm going to do that. Tie rod ends, sway bar end links, and strut and upper control arm. So basically the suspension in the front is going to be all refreshed, and that was just over, I think, $550 in parts, which isn't that bad. I'm going to do all the work myself, so I'll walk you guys through that process. But this project car, which started at a cost of $10,500, is what I paid for this. I paid $700 to get this shipped to me. At the time, I thought it was a really good deal, but you know, that clunk in the motor just needed to get fixed, and I was having some milling. There's like a milling sound where at low speed you could hear the bearings were kind of wearing down, and I didn't know how much longer the drive unit was going to have on it. It's good to have like a brand new like drive unit in this thing. It's kind of refreshed, so really I don't have to worry about anything other than the high voltage battery, and hopefully that holds out. So guys, stay tuned to the channel. Be sure to subscribe because I'm doing the full suspension in the front. Now this does not have air suspension, it just has coilovers, springs, and shocks. All right, so to replace the suspension pieces, like the struts were like $75 a piece, which is pretty cheap, you know, for those struts in the front. So that was pretty reasonable. I'm going to go through that full process, and then we got to get these windows tinted. We're going to do like a full, kind of try to like revive the paint a little bit. This thing sat outside for a little while, and then really just start putting some miles on this thing. So I just want to caution anyone who's looking at like a high mileage older Tesla Model S. You know, that's what this car is. The prices on these things are like rock bottom right now. You know, you can find them, you know, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 right now, which is, you know, which is pretty low for a 12, 13, 14 Model S. Just be aware though, if it needs something like the drive unit or the high voltage battery, you know, it's gonna be a cost. It's gonna be quite expensive, and so be aware of that. Even though the car might be cheap, it's cheap for a reason, because it needs something. If it's completely sorted out, everything's good, and it's driving good, people are keeping these. I think people are just getting rid of these when they, you know, are trading them in when there's potential issues or they're foreseeing some kind of a problem with the car. So at least be aware of that. All right, guys, so stay tuned to the channel because I'm going to be doing like a kind of a paint restoration to the paint here. We're going to get the windows all tinted, and then I also have a blackout kit for all the chrome. This has all the chrome all around the edge, the windows, the door handles, the indicator lights here. So we're going to black all that out, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. So we're going to get this thing kind of refreshed up, and then we'll get some miles on this thing. And then in the next video, we're going to go through kind of a full price breakdown on full cost of the car, all the repairs, everything that's taken to get this thing to the point it is. And that way you can get an idea if you're looking at something like this, like an older Model S, you know, what you can expect in price and what to expect in repairs. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.